Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Westworld, Season 1, Episode 4. It's called Dissonance Theory. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, it's interesting because they actually kind of, and not completely, but in a weird way, they kind of answered some stuff this week a lot quicker than I was expecting them to.
Yeah, which things?
Well, Arnold in particular, we speculated last week because we'd first heard about Arnold, Ford's partner, and there was the slight chance that maybe that was the Man in Black, but I was certainly more adamant that the thing that the Man in Black was looking for, the maze, the game, this deeper level, was a result of Arnold. Arnold did this, he put this in
Yeah.
place all that time ago, and that's true. We know that now. At least,
Yeah, they just kind of put it out there.
at the very least, the Man in Black believes it to be the case. He brings up Arnold. He seems to know who he's talking about. And obviously there's other connections to everything as well, but I thought that obviously that was a really exciting scene. As soon as he said, to the Snake Lady, have you ever heard of a man called Arnold? I'm like, we have. Yeah,
Yeah.
good, yeah. Tell us more. But yeah, he's digging deeper and looking for stuff. But I think the more obviously there was a lot of Man in Black in this episode, and he was always entertaining. He met up with Snake Lady, him him saving I can't remember the guy's name.
The outlaw guy.
The outlaw guy that he's keeping around. Like,
Hector.
is he Hector? Okay, he's
I
Hector.
think that's Hector.
Okay. No, I'm pretty sure Hector's the bad
Oh no,
guy.
yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about. Sorry.
No. The guy who saved from being hung.
Yeah, hanged. We did this last time.
Did we?
Yeah, you said hung last time, and I said no, it's hanged, and you complained that I corrected you then.
Oh, well, deja vu, which oddly fits into the theme of one of the characters' episodes
It
tonight.
does, it does.
So that was timely. Whatever. And I'm sorry, guys. There's so many characters on this show. There's legitimately like 20 main characters. It is.
Yeah, it's one of those where I don't know who to say is the main character. Because after the first episode, you go, oh, maybe it's Teddy.
No,
No,
definitely not.
no, it's not.
Dolores is the closest one we have, but even she's more of a side character than this one. So it's
Yeah,
there's a lot to process. But anyway, him saving him again from being like executed, but this time by firing squad in the exact same way where he pulls off his blindfold, and his reaction just cracked me up. It was actually
it did. It was as soon as it cut to his face and you hear the gunshots, it's like,
Yeah.
ugh, know exactly what's going on.
yeah, it's the exact same thing again. So that was good fun. But so yeah, Man in Black was entertaining. He was interacting with these different people. We get to see Hector again, who was the guy who did the big like robbery in the first episode, and he comes to do it again later on in this episode. The whole idea is that he's going to be broken out in 3 days because maybe he's in like a weekly sort of loop where he comes in.
Yeah, because in the first episode, they did say, let's do it early.
Yeah.
Because everything was going on. They were like, right, let's just speed things up.
And interestingly, they actually addressed one of the I wouldn't even call it criticism, but one of the questions that we had, certainly there was people in the comments talking about this on, I think the episode 1 or 2 review, was what about people coming with their kids? Like, there's all this killing and raping going on, and like any of that could happen at any time. Now, I still think there's a chance that another guest could do something really horrific at any given time, but they did address the idea that they actually monitor when like families with kids are coming in, because they specifically killed off this whole scene early because they knew if like kids were coming in.
Yeah.
They addressed this, so they keep check on that, so they don't walk into a violent storyline.
I do think to a degree, though, they'll let some things run just because, the parents are going to be aware that stuff's going to happen. It's like parents' responsibility to a
Oh
degree.
yeah, I mean, if the parents take them on a quest that's clearly about something or other, then sure.
Yeah.
But this is them arriving in the park, so you imagine a lot of the parents haven't consented to them seeing X, Y, and Z
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So no, they addressed that. But yeah, so back to this maze and the deeper game. I actually felt we get a lot more interesting stuff about that away from the Man in Black this episode. Because Dolores, as well as having like visions of like past deaths, and obviously once again, even though the episode's not really about her, we do open with her, and she even states the exact same phrases that Bernard used last week when he was talking to his wife about the memory of like her father dying was all she had left of him.
Do you know what was interesting about this for me though?
Yeah.
You know, last week we spoke about the theory that that stuff's, in the past with Logan and William.
Mm.
I was flip-flopping all episode as to whether or not I was.
Okay.
Because it was the way, like for Dolores, right, was one of the big reasons why. So it opens on her with Bernard,
Mm.
and then it cuts to her with Logan and William, as we left it last week.
Right. Okay.
So it wasn't like she'd left and come back. It was just like it was implying that the conversation with Bernard happened separately, to me at least.
I didn't read it like that. I read it like she went away and came back. Like he'd come up in the night because he sneaks her out. It's not like a thing he's supposed to be doing. And if we go with the idea that they sometimes get maintenance every night, like between days, and they get if they're on a storyline that's lasting longer than a day, then they still have to go back to that storyline. So, but admittedly, you could be right. This could be.
It was just the way it was to me made me think, but then I got thrown off because she has those flashes of memories of the church chapel, right? And
Which seem older.
yeah, well, no, that's the thing. It seemed I thought that was the one that Ford went to see. You know, where it was all burnt down and we just saw the tower.
Yeah, which is why I thought it was old.
Yeah, so well, it was kind of newer, wasn't it? Because it was still built in her memory.
No, I mean the memory's old.
Yeah, yeah. Which, sorry, I thought you meant the church.
No,
seemed
the
older.
memory's older. The memory's older
Right,
than
yeah.
everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Which made me think, oh, maybe that is in the present day then, because she's remembering back.
Yeah.
But then there was just I kept flip flopping. It's like I can't decide. Then it was Logan mentions they're part of, or William mentions they're part of a company foundation, and then one of the guys says to Man in Black, "Oh, I know about your foundation."
Yeah, that scene with the Man in Black was very interesting. Just the way he reacted to someone recognizing him and trying to talk to him about real life.
Yeah.
That was very interesting.
But it made me think, oh, hang on, because
But did they say foundation when he talked about his company? Like
he said,
Logan.
he said company, but then he said foundation, and it's like, close enough. I can see.
I didn't
I
see
don't
them
know.
correlating. The way I read the Logan line connected to something that Ford said in another scene, because he spoke about how there was already a representative from the investors at the park, and I took that to maybe mean him, assuming that's present day,
Right. Okay.
because their company has more stakes in the park. He says that,
Yeah.
so
That makes sense.
I was reading that like that.
Yeah. No, that does make sense.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was just flip flopping. I can't decide.
Unless the Man in Black's the person who
Represents him,
who comes to check things out.
And maybe that's why they're giving him so much free reign. It's like, no, he
Yeah.
can do what he wants because he's like, on his investigation almost.
Yeah, it could be that, but certainly Dolores, like the idea of a maze, like she draws a maze, or the girl draws a maze in the sand, and Dolores recognizes it, and there's a lot of maze, like, and when she's talking to Bernard at the start, he talks about the maze, and that was the thing that was for me, is as soon as he said maze, I perked up. I'm like, okay, this is getting interesting. What
This
about a
whole
maze?
show is a damn maze.
Yeah, but he talks about how when you finally leave the maze, you're free, and the Man in Black, when he's talking about Arnold, he says that he broke his one rule. The one thing that you can't do here is die. From the point of view of a human, you can't die as a human, as a guest. Well, I mean, you could die of natural causes, I suppose. If you have a heart attack in the middle of the park, I'm sure you'll go, but whatever. But you know what he means. And that's when I started thinking, wait, is the Man in Black, is his goal here? Especially because later on when he's talking to Hector, is it Hector? Yeah, Hector says he's going to kill him. No, it's not Hector. Sorry. It's the guy that is saved twice. He says that he's going to kill him, and the Man in Black says maybe someday. Is the Man in Black trying to deactivate the safeguards that stops them from killing the humans? Is he wanting there to be real stakes in the park? Is that what his
I
game
feel
is?
like that might be it because he keeps saying, "Oh, it's just a game,"
Yeah.
and it's like that's not enough of a challenge for him anymore.
Yeah, it's like he almost did die like Arnold did. Like Arnold went out in some fantasy world that he'd built around him, Maybe in some way that he wanted to die, that he's seen as like an epic death or a notable death, or even if it was fake, it's how he wanted to go. He wanted to go out, being shot down in the middle of a raid or whatever.
Well, see, I do think it's just that he's bored of, he's done so much in this part. We get the idea that he's been coming for so long. He knows almost everything, and I just feel like there's no fun in it for him anymore. He's just going through the motions, and he thinks that if he can deactivate these safeguards and there's a real threat, things will be interesting again.
But he certainly knows. I mean, we know that Arnold wasn't public knowledge. I'm pretty sure Ford definitely like made that clear last week. So he's clearly close to these people, at least close enough to know the history of the park.
Which is why I think he could be the representative, because
yeah,
if you're on that board and you should know, surely, like you'd know your history of what you're investing in. But, it may not be public knowledge, but you, as a private investor, you would be aware.
Maybe boredom's part of it, but maybe like I almost see it less of boredom and more like, okay, he's bored of the surface layer, but he's always been fascinated with it, and that's why he's digging deeper. That's why he's determined to find the core, the more. Maybe he believes in whatever Arnold was doing. He believes in the it's not a theme park, it's more. Which actually brings me neatly to Ford, because I am now convinced that whatever thing Ford's setting up, which by the way, can I just say, I mean, the shows look great the whole time, right? But see all the special effects, the visual effects of those giant machines, like doing the digging and stuff, that looked movie level CGI.
Oh, it was astonishingly good. When it just comes across from behind and you just see it, it's like, damn.
That was right out of a movie. That was a movie budget looking effect, and that really took me aback, because I was sort of, whoa, we can do this in TV now, like, man.
Yeah, sure. I mean, HBO throw
on
money
HBO,
at things,
sure,
but
only HBO, admittedly, but
everything else only tends to be like a few years behind HBO.
But it really took me back, because I was like, if that was in a movie, I would not have like questioned that. I would be like, yeah, that's good. That's what it's meant to look like.
Yeah, which is what the best CG should do. You shouldn't think about it as CG. You just be like, okay, it's there.
But yeah, it looked good. But yeah, so his conversation with Therese, really, really interesting. First of all, he's went from being the grandfather who believes that he might want to give life to these things to now I'm thinking, oh, he's kind of like Darth Vader.
I'm more convinced. I think it was last week I mentioned the God complex.
Well, yeah, because he stops everything and even says that him and Arnold were like gods in this world and everyone else was just a visitor. And he does it as he pauses every single host around them for like a mile radius or whatever. You know, we see them all, because it's like a plantation they're at, and all the ones out working on the crops, the ones like in the house or the building doing all the maintenance and whatever whatever they're doing, and they all freeze. And it's all to make a point, because she's trying to like fight him on this. She's trying to like be like diplomatic, but not really diplomatic. Business board members, we're going to stop you, that kind of thing, but in like a nice way. And he's like, no, I'm the one with power here.
Yeah, it's like, I'm the god here. I do what I want.
Yeah. But at the same time, he obviously he knows how. Like, he definitely has the god complex. We definitely see that, but I feel like he's aware he has that, like in a weird way. Like it's not like he's delusional and has a god complex.
Well, no, he even says Arnold went crazy. He hasn't.
Yeah. But I am now convinced, because we see these flashbacks of this church, and because we've seen like that leftover steeple before that he went to visit, and because Dolores, we know, is the oldest spot in the park. Whatever this new game is, whatever this storyline is that he is building, that he is designing, that he is setting up, is the conclusion to the thing that the Man in Black's looking for. Also because we find out that that Wyatt, the villain in the new storyline, is the one who is responsible for the snake on the lady's body, which is his next clue. So all of it suggests that Ford is trying to finish whatever Arnold started.
Yeah, which I find is interesting, because it kind of felt like he thought Arnold kind of got away from things.
Yeah.
Like last week when he was talking about Arnold, he was like, yeah, it was good ideas, but he went too far. Well, and it's now what's made him change his mind to want to finish what he started.
That's the thing. Now that you bring that up, and we look back at it, I think he's maybe doing his own spin on it, because I don't think, because Ford clearly, especially we've seen that scene last week where he cut the bot and he's like, they don't feel anything, stop, so I think Bernard's the one who's looking for humanity in the hosts, and we see that in the scenes with Dolores and how she's like, she even like adapts a phrase they taught her for something else into something talking about her dad and death.
Yeah.
And she says things that Bernard himself said when talking to his wife last week, and you could see the connection in his eyes, and how he connect. I don't think Ford's that. I don't think Ford is like Arnold in the sense that, from what we know about Arnold anyway, because we know so little at this point, but at least from what we heard last week, it sounds like Arnold did believe in the host becoming more human, becoming sentient.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Bernard, it's not that he wants them to, it's just that he recognizes that they are, and he's just going to allow it, whereas Arnold was actively pushing them to become that.
Because Bernard perhaps sees that stopping that, like stepping in and taking it away, is actually stopping life, and that's the conflict, maybe, for him. Whereas I don't think Ford wants that for them, but he's certainly taking whatever Arnold did and whatever he started back then, and he seems to be wanting to finish it in his own way, whatever that may be. Maybe he has gone nuts, and maybe he's going to let the Man in Black turn all the safeguards off. I don't know. That's probably too simple for this show, but
probably is.
Fascinating stuff, though. I was riveted throughout that conversation he had with Teresa.
Yeah, and it was the way that, when he froze everything, the wine just kept pouring. Yeah. And it was just like, that was him making a point. It's like, I can just let everything flood if I want to. Because the table was just starting to flood with wine. Everything could just overflow at any moment if he says so.
I mean, how do you argue with a guy when he says he's God, when he actually makes the entire world pause to have a conversation?
Exactly. Everything you see around you, he has made.
And the funny thing is he even talks. The scene ends with him like demolishing this place, and Teresa mentions that she came here as a kid, and that Ford knew enough about her and he'd studied her to the point where he knew that she sat at this table in that very seat, and that's why they're having this meeting there to show how like his power, but how much he knows about her. He mentions that he knows that she's sleeping with Bernard.
Well, a god is meant to be all knowing.
True. But a god can also destroy. It can go Old Testament and just tear things up, because that machine comes in and starts to destroy this plantation. And it was almost like he was taking her memory from her. Like, this was your childhood memory, and I'm destroying it for my new thing.
It was particularly cruel, because it's like, I know that this place was where you kind of had your first experience in this world. I'm going to just destroy it on a whim almost, because he didn't have to. No,
but he's like, no, I'll put my new thing here. So, one actually little tidbit that I liked about this is that you see that they're actually using the host to build like part of the new park, and I thought, that's an interesting idea, that they would have tons of spares that they would use for like all this labour. Yeah,
until it becomes the question of how aware are they, and is this slave labour, which is very fitting given that it was a plantation.
I guess that's kind of the point, though, isn't it? The whole show is like, at what point are they being cruel to these individuals because they are becoming human? Because obviously you think, a robot, go do that. That's not slavery. That's a robot. He's a toaster making toast. That's all it is. But then there's the point where a toaster realizes that it's what it is and has feelings, and doesn't.
Oh man, this is a really cruel analogy, because at this point you're making a toaster fry its insides to give you food.
But the toaster doesn't want to do that for the rest of its life. So then it is slavery. Then you're forcing it to do it when it has thoughts and feelings. That's the difference between a robot and a person. So
imagine if a toaster felt pain from that heat.
You ever seen the movie The Brave Little Toaster?
I have not.
You should see it and just think about that as you're watching it. Crying the inside. Let's jump over to the other very fascinating plot, which comes together with Hector, because Hector, of course, after Man in Black rescues him from prison, he comes into town to do his weekly raid of the safe and the cylinder.
Just on the prison break. I love those cigars that explode. Oh my god, that was so amazingly cool. It's just a small thing, but I loved it.
I like the one that was in the guy's head. I thought that was. I
just like the idea that he's been given like these cigars going in and going, you like these? Well, we'll make it an explosive. That's the deal.
Yeah. Although that does at least. I mean, not that anyone was suggesting otherwise, but just in case you thought that if there was two timelines, that maybe the Man in Black was like in the future and everything else was in the past, or like, just in case you were thinking something crazy like that, Hemsworth saying no, I proved those three explosives was kind of proof that at least that's in the same timeline.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, so before we move on to the next big thing, just a brief thing about the Stray from last week. Bernard points out that the star sign's wrong because there's too many stars in the belt.
That was interesting.
I have no idea what that means, but
it makes you think either it's not a star sign, like she was just implanting her knowledge and getting it wrong. So wasn't that to begin with? It was something completely different. Maybe some steps of the maze. Or, as you know, like stars change. Like over the decades and years, they shift slightly. Maybe he's seen something for some reason that he thinks is like much older. I don't know.
I don't know either. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was worth mentioning. But let's get to Maeve, because Maeve had a very interesting storyline this episode. She was having flashes, much like Dolores to an extent, where she was remembering like the shootout from previous. Maybe not the one we've seen, but one of them. Like this happens every week.
I think it was the one we seen because we saw her laying down opposite the other woman.
Yeah, true.
Which was the shot we saw.
Yeah, sure. I don't think it matters, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But she's having flashes and she's having almost like a deja vu-esque experience. Kind of remembering it, and she's having vague memories of the guys patching her up with their masks on, and she draws one. She gets a bit of paper and she draws her like representation of what this guy in what we know is you wouldn't call it a hazmat suit because it wasn't really radioactive, but you know what I mean, like the.
Just a medical protection.
Yeah, medical.
Yeah.
Someone will tell us in the comments what the correct term.
It's actually almost like an engineering welding thing.
Almost.
To protect from that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Containment suit. No.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So she's having visions of him, and she draws it on a bit of paper, and she lifts up the board. Now, see when she lifted up the board, right? Or actually, before she lifted up the board, I was thinking to myself, oh, this would be cool if she starts leaving herself like memory, almost like Memento, like she's leaving herself clues and notes to like remember things. Like that would be really interesting. And then as she was lifting the board, I was like, oh, she's going to find something under there. Maybe she's
done this before.
Well, see, I didn't even think that. Obviously, that's what it turns out to be. But I was thinking, I don't know, maybe there's stuff in the floor that they're not meant to see. Inner workings of the park, sensors or something that they keep.
Right. Okay.
But then she picks up and there's like half a dozen at least of like these same drawings that she's been doing this before, and I love her reaction. I love that. I love when movies and shows and stories do something like this. They make us think it's the start of something, but it's actually the middle.
Yeah.
And that makes it more interesting. It makes it more impactful. Because sometimes starting at the start of a story is actually the most boring thing you can do.
Yeah. I mean, we've had enough superhero origins for me to agree.
True. So no, just fantastic moment because it's like it sets you. It's like, oh, this is, this has been ongoing. She's even further along and like kind of having these suspicions than we even thought she was, and that's it's fascinating. But of course, the big stuff, of course, comes at the end of the episode where she gets Hector, or she tries to get Hector to stab her. Because she believes she was shot. She remembers specifically being shot in her stomach. And she gets them to cut her stomach open, and she pulls out the bullet.
Why would they not take this out?
Well, that's the thing. I think they're meant to. I think this was a mistake. And
you think when she got up and startled them?
I think that interrupted the process of whatever they were doing, and they panicked and just like missed it. I think it was a mistake. I don't think it's meant to be there.
That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense.
So whoever left it in there's going to be in a lot of trouble if they find out.
Oh, aye, someone's getting fired.
But no, I wonder, will she put this with the rest of her stash? Well, probably not. It looked like they were about to get shot and be reset immediately after. But that was a fantastic ending to the episode.
The bit I loved as well with her stuff is the kid's doll.
Yeah, the suit. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how their religion is basically reality.
Oh yeah, I like this too because when she asks Hector about it, he starts talking. He's like, yeah, they believe that they are beings that come from hell that like affect our world. I can't remember the exact words they used, but it was like they come out of hell, which they literally do. They came up from below. They came up in an
Yeah,
elevator from underneath.
I thought it was fantastic that they're like a society that remembers bits for some reason.
Yeah, and they've like formed a religion out of it. Yeah.
Like, because that's exactly what you would do, surely, if you were like that. It would become a religion.
Yeah, but of course, Dolores has an advantage. She has someone who's actually kind of helping her on the, a real person actually talking to her
Yeah.
and developing things. And it'll be interesting to see where all this goes. We should probably jump over just briefly to William and Logan again because I was about to say Ford, William and Logan again because they split up actually in this episode and go their separate ways by the end because Logan is a bit of a dick and keeps interrupting plans, and at one point even holds a gun to Dolores' head, where William reacts by holding a gun to the other guy's head because the other guy is going to, lead Logan to a better whorehouse or something to that effect.
It was an Easter egg, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you find this guy, he can lead you to this other secret place, and
Yeah.
he's maybe not been there before, so he's all excited about it. But no, I thought it was good. I thought it was just more of an analysis of William's character, and I'm really enjoying seeing how he reacts to things and how he does want to keep Dolores safe. Like at one point, he says, "I can get hurt in there, and I can't get hurt in there, but you can, so you stay here."
Yeah. See, this was another one of those moments though where I thought, maybe he could become the Man in Black, where it's that first step of him going in alone and just being and going to go and presumably just take people out.
Yeah, he missed though. I think
Well, yeah,
he missed all his shots.
yeah. That's why I said first step.
Yeah, first step, sure.
I didn't say he was good at it yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is what I mean. I'm just flip flopping all episode. I just can't decide. I'm still leaning towards it's not.
Yeah,
But there's enough there still that just makes me go.
Yeah, there's enough there where I could buy it, and I will not be disappointed. I will be excited if they reveal it. I'll be like, oh, great twist, guys. But at the same time, right now I'm leaning towards no for a couple of different reasons. Maybe if they give him a reason, like a path to the dark side of some kind at some point, I don't know. But
What if Dolores gets shot in front of him?
Maybe. Yeah, but he in the future he comes back and rapes her.
Yeah, but maybe he changes. I don't know.
And here's the thing that I don't think adds up about this being in the past. Right? This is his first time in the park. And the way that Man in Black talks about Arnold sounds like he was around here at the start of the park.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Some demonic noises, I think, coming from maybe the sink in the bathroom near you. No? Oh, it stopped now, but it was...
I didn't hear anything.
There was a noise in the way. I'm going to acknowledge it, just in case people think there's something weird going on.
I genuinely had no idea.
But yeah, anything else you'd like to discuss, Connor?
I liked the piano cover, sung by The Cure. Quite early on, when they were in the just talking in the
yeah,
halls.
I remember it playing. And every time it plays, I'm like, I bet that's a song that I should recognise, but I don't, and I didn't. And
I can't remember the name of it. I know it's by The Cure, but the names.
Think, honestly, the only song I know by The Cure is the one that was in The Crow.
I don't know. I've not seen The Crow. I don't know which one that was.
Burn, I believe, is the title of that song, which is a good song actually. I don't know why I never bothered trying any more of The Cure, but
it's not that one. I'll tell you that.
I think that was The Cure. I may be wrong now. Someone's going to correct me in the comments, but I think
I've not seen the film, so
yeah, you didn't see Back to the Future till like 2 years ago.
probably more like a year and a half.
That just makes you worse.
I know.
Yeah. Jeez. Anyway, guys, that is Westworld. So, episode 4, and I don't want to get anyone hyped, but Evan Rachelwood, who plays Dolores, was hyping on Twitter that episode 5 was a big one.
Ooh.
So
now you got me hyped, damn it.
Yeah. So, no, obviously the show's still great. We're almost halfway through the season, which is crazy to think, but give us that season 2 renewal, HBO. Let us know it's coming back next year. Let me know.
I'm not worried.
I'm not really worried, but there's always that chance.
Nah. This is a moneymaker for HBO. They ain't giving this up.
That's true. The first
They're
episode.
clearly grooming this to be their next. Like, what once Game of Thrones ends in a couple of years, this will be their big hit.
Well, sure, they want it to be that, but that's maybe why I think they could be disappointed if it's not as big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe, but
Because
yeah,
well,
I think they're allowed to start.
as we said, this is clearly expensive TV.
Oh, it is.
It looks ridiculously expensive. So, um, but yeah, that's it. It did debut to the same opening numbers that True Detective did.
Which was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. So, hopefully, it builds an audience and people are enjoying it as we are. So, thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next week. Keep watching TV, guys. Like and subscribe, and let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. We'll see you next time.